Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, let us start. Today we shall discuss Mulk Raj Anand's uh, Untouchable. This is a novel um, which is an MEG-7 Block 2, and we shall focus our discussion on the life and works of Mulk Raj Anand. Some of the themes, characterization and plot will also be discussed. Even the narrative technique of the novel will be discussed at length. And by the way, we shall also try to focus on a short history of the Indian English novel. So, from the very beginning, let me be very clear. When we study Mulk Raj Anand's novel, a brief history of his early life, his literary career, and the works of Mulk Rajavan are to be discussed. As you know, this is a very interesting novel, a classic one. This is a very classic novel. And before that, let me have a glimpse of Mulk Rajanand's early days. Mulk Rajanand was born in a Hindu family in 1905 in Peshawar. As you know, Peshawar was the central city of northwest of frontier of uh, northwest frontier province, which is now in Pakistan. And his father belonged to the 30th caste, particularly people of 30th caste were workers of copper and silver. And he was, I mean, he learned English. Mulk Rajanand learned English in a British military school and served in the cantonment, including Sialkot. He was thereafter appointed as a head clerk, um, and he was said to be the only literate man in the whole regiment. He was highly ambitious. I mean, Mulk Rajanand's father was highly ambitious for his son's education and economic status, and this is regarding his early days. When you talk about Anand's mother, she came from actually from a devout Sikh peasant family of Sialkot, and she
Uh,
was,
so due to network issue,
yes,
I have.
okay, okay. Her mother was a religious woman who had great faith
Sir,
in
what topic
orthodox
of discussion?
beliefs.
What topic?
Today's discussion is Mulk Rajanand's Untouchable. We just started. We just started. This is the introduction. Okay, just 2 minutes before we started the discussion, and I'm discussing the early days of Mulk Rajanand, his education, his father and mother, their beliefs. So her mother was a religious woman who had enormous faith, who had great faith in orthodox beliefs, and at the same time, she had a very vast knowledge of folk tales, right? And by listening to all these tales, TALES, right, in the childhood days, actually he learnt a lot regarding the narrative style of the novels. The first 20 years of Anand's life, right, the first 20 years of Anand's life seem to have been spent in Punjab area. And after passing his matriculation, Anand entered the Khalsa College, Amritsar, and he joined non-violent struggle against the British government and courted arrest. This was his early days. And his early recollections focus on two cantonments, as I said before. One is Myanmar and is Nausera. And thereafter, he graduated from Punjab University with honors in English. So the first break in Anand Mulk Rajanan's life came when he received a scholarship for research in philosophy under a professor in London. And it is there he started his creative writing. That was a turning point in his career. And so far as his literary career is concerned, Mulk Rajanan enjoys great reputation of being a pioneer novelist because of a great number of creative fictions of good quality. Whatever he had written, those say creative writings were of high standard. And as you know, he was a prolific writer and is continuing to write and publish even at the age of 96. Besides novels and short stories, he has written a number of books on art, paintings, and literature. Um, he has also been awarded by many organizations for his creative writings. As you know, he was awarded the International Peace Prize of the World Peace Council. What is the reason? It was he who promoted peace among the nations through his literary works. And he was also awarded Padma Bhushan Award by the President of India for distinguished service to art and literature. And he also owned EM Poster Award of rupees 3,000 during those days for his novel known as Confessions of a Lover, quote unquote, which was thereafter adjudged as the best book of creative literature in English language. So he has been honored by many organizations, by many countries. And when you talk about this is about his early days. And before going in detail into the text, let us know the characters of the novel Untouchable. Because characterization,
Sorry, sir, disturbing. Sir, which class is going on? Sir, MEG 5, 10, 15.
MEG-7 Book 2, Block 2.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
This
sir.
is Mulk Rajanan's Untouchable.
Thank you, sir.
Mulk Rajanan's Untouchable. Okay. Um, as you know, as I said before, diving directly into the plot, the themes, let us know some of the characters that Anand has created for his novels. So, question comes to our mind. Sometimes we we fumble for some time. We get confused whether the characters in Mulk Rajanand's Untouchable are individuals having real flesh and blood, or are they mere types? Naturally, any novelist um, who write a novel or who write novels, naturally they create characters who are types. The question may come to your mind, are characters in Anand's novel Untouchable individuals of real flesh and blood or mere types? Again, another question may come to your mind, does the novel have flat characters or round characters? You may ask me questions. What do you mean by flat character? What do you mean by round characters? So, does the novel have, does this novel Untouchable have flat characters or round characters? These are the questions you may ask me later on. Uh, so, the answer to these questions will determine the success of the novelist as a creator of strong and lively personalities. So let us discuss in a nutshell the different characters so that it will be easy for us to go into the plot in detail, to go into the theme in detail. The first character that comes to my mind is Bakha, Bakha. Bakha is the protagonist, is the hero, the central character, and he is just an 18-year-old youth, Indian youth, Bakha, as the name suggests that he is an Indian youth. How old was he? He was just 18 years old. He was just 18 years old. What is his profession? Bakha is a sweeper. Bakha is a sweeper and he is the protagonist. He is the central character. He is the main character. He is the principal character, the hero of Untouchable. Okay, how does he look? What sort of young man is he? He is very strong. He is able bodied. And at the same time, he is very much fascinated by the life and ways of India's English colonizers and his position, okay, as you know, as an untouchable. What do you mean by untouchable? What do you mean by untouchable? This is the title of the novel, Untouchable. Touch, touchable, untouchable. If you touch someone, right, that is touchable. Untouchable, whom you cannot touch. Naturally, we accept the people of the lower strata of the society, right, as untouchable. The people of the downcast, the people of the lower strata of the society, the the um, the neglected lots, right, are known as the untouchables. So the story revolves around such characters. And one such character is Bakha. Bakha, as you know, is the son of Lakha, L-A-K-H-A. Bakha is the hero who is just 18 years old, and his position as an untouchable in the novel has resulted in high levels of self deprecation and depression. Naturally, this is a very common thing. When people detest you, when people deprecate you, when people despise you, when people loathe you, when people dislike you as a person of low caste, as a person of low origin, naturally you will be you will feel depressed. And the same thing happened with Bakha. Got it? Got it, my dear?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
let me
sir.
tell you again. Okay. So Bakha's position as an untouchable in the novel, अस्पृश्य, ଯାହାକୁ ଛୁଇଁଲେ ଛୁଆଁ ବୋଲି ଆମେ ଗ୍ରହଣ କରୁଛୁ. So Bakha's position as an untouchable has resulted in self-deprecation, self, depression, that he used to feel depressed when he was despised, DESPISCD, when he was disliked, when he was loathed, when he was abominated, right? So such a character is Bakha. Who is the father of Bakha? Lakha, L-A-K-H-A. Lakha is the father of Bakha. And sometimes Bakha can be judgmental. What do you mean by judgmental? What do you mean by judgmental? When a question is given to you, for example, and you are not in a state to give the correct answer, people say that you are not judgmental. You are not judgmental. When you are, say, uh, asked to solve a question, it's not mathematics. It's, say, for example, question on life, question on philosophy, any day-to-day question on life. Sometimes we need to be judgmental. We need to be pragmatic. We need to be practical. And at the same time, uh, we must be decisive. So Bakha was such a character. He was very decisive. DECISIV. He was very judgmental. And this quality of being judgmental in his approach, right, help him to surpass the problems all through the novel. Sometimes he questions his own status quo, his own position, and sometimes he challenges the caste system, right, that was prevalent in the society during those days. Such is a character who is known as Bakha. How old is he?
18 years old.
He is 18 years. What is his father's name?
Lakha.
Very good. Okay. Let us come to the next character known as Chota, Chota or Choto, whatever you say, right? Sometimes we have to pronounce things like this. Chota, Chota is another character who is the son of a leather worker. Leather worker, Leather. Leather worker means someone who must be
Some
engaged in doing right, right, shoemakers, right? So Chota is the son of a shoemaker, and Chota happens to be one of the best friends of Bakha. So both are friends. Bakha and Chota are best friends. Though they are of outcast class, both of them belong to outcast class, lower class people. People used to consider them, right? Outcast class. Though both of them are of outcast class, Chota is a little bit higher than Bakha in the caste system hierarchy. So, far as the class system hierarchy is concerned, Chota is considered to be a little bit superior to Bakha. Got it?
yes, sir.
Okay. Like Bakha, Chota is also obsessed with the English language because of their poor background or because of their outcast class, right? Normally, they were not so exposed to English language. So both are obsessed with English. The next character is Ram Charan. Look at the characters. All are Indian characters. Ram Charan. Who is Ram Charan? Ram Charan is the son of a washerman. Washerman. Whom do we call a washerman?
Who washes clothes?
Right. So Ram Charan is the son of a washerman, and Ram Charan is also one of the best friends of Bakha. Look at the friend circle of Bakha. He is also one of the close friend of Bakha. And so far as hierarchy of class is concerned, Ramcharan is also higher than Bakha. So both Chota and Ramcharan are higher than Bakha so far as class hierarchy is concerned. Because his family only washes other people's clothes, and this act deemed cleaner than clearing refuse. So Bakha normally is engaged in clearing refuse. Refuse means ଆମ ମଣିଷ ମାନଙ୍କର ମଇଳା. So far as class hierarchy is concerned, both Chota and Ramcharan, right, belong to a class higher than Bakha. Let us come to another character known as Lakha. Lakha. Lakha is the Jamadar of the sweepers. The same word, Jamadar, is prevalent even today.
The Lokha is the father of Bokha.
Yes, Lakha, Lakha is the father of Bakha. I have already told you. And who is Lakha? Lakha is the Jamadar of the sweepers. Jamadar, among a group of sweepers, someone who commands, who controls. He is the Jamadar, right? A kind of supervisor. So Lakha is the father of Bakha. So Bakha's father, how is he? He's a lazy kind of man, someone who is very passive, someone who is not at all active, right? And sometimes he resents Bakha's obsession with English. Bakha doesn't know English. That is why sometimes Lakha, his father, resents with this kind of obsession of his son. And he urges, he compels, right, Bakha to be satisfied with their family's lot as life as an untouchables and sweepers. His father used to say, Lakha used to say that we are sweepers, we are untouchables. Let us be happy with our way of life. Let us be happy with our own position. Let us not be obsessed with anything else. Let us not expect more than our class or caste. Let us be happy with whatever we have. This was the version of Bakha's father. But his son Bakha is obsessed with that I do not know English. So that means he wants to know something more. He is a progressive kind of man, young man, who wants to know more. But his father is satisfied with the things that have been given to them. What is his conviction? What is the conviction of his father? His father says that we should be satisfied with our family's lots in life, that we are untouchables, that we are sweepers. We should be happy with that. We shouldn't feel obsessed that, and perhaps Lakha thinks that this is what God wants, God desires. So we should expect more. Uh, Another character, Rakha, Rakha. Listen, Rakha, Bakha, Lakha. Who is Rakha? Rakha. Rakha. Rakha is Bakha's younger brother. Rakha is Bakha's younger brother. Somewhat of a foil to Bakha's character. And sometimes Rakha is described as a true child of the outcast color, true child of the outcast colony. This is what is sometimes described as if he represents the outcast colony in the proper manner. So he is Rakha. So who is Rakha?
Bakha's younger brother and Lakha's
Okay,
son.
younger son. Okay. And the next character is Sohini. Sohini. Sohini is Bakha's younger sister. So this is all about a family and a group of close friends. So Sohini is the younger sister of Bakha, and Sohini is described in the novel as a very beautiful girl, though she belonged to the outcast class. She is very beautiful to look at. Okay, and at the same time, she is very peasant. She is very peasant. Patent. someone who is known for her resilience.
Sir, who is noble, sir? Please repeat this noble.
Yeah, this is untouchable,
Sohini.
Mulk Rajan. This is untouchable, Mulk Rajan. I think you just came now. Okay, okay. Listen, you'll so understand slowly. So, Sohini is the younger sister of Bakha, and at the same time, she's beautiful to look at. She's a peasant girl. Peasant means someone who is known for her resilience, someone who is known for her patience, dharja. She is known for her patience, and she bears the brunt of her family's sometimes frustrations. Okay, and sometimes she had a kind of altercation with a member of the higher caste, and for which Bakha has suffered a lot later on, because Sohini had some sort of relationship with a person of higher caste. The real O starts. The next character is Habildar Charat Singh. Habildar Charat Singh. He is one of Bakka's heroes, and Charat Singh is a famous hockey player. As the title suggests, Singh, Charat Singh. Habildar Charat Singh is a famous hockey player, and his personality is like a joker, right? He is very jocular, he is very humorous, and sometimes his mood is changeable. Frequently, his mood used to change, right? At the beginning of the novel, we can say, come across the character of Bakha, who cleans the latrine. Bakha cleans the latrines, but later on, he gives, I mean, Charat Singh gives Bakha a brand new hockey stick. So, his desire, or in other words, we can say his willingness to share his afternoon tea with Bakha illustrates the lack of belief in untouchability. Sometimes Habildar Charat Singh shares the afternoon tea with Bakha. Normally, Charat Singh belongs to the higher caste, Bakha belongs to the lower caste. So when Habildar Charat Singh shares his afternoon tea with Bakha, this illustrates his lack of belief in untouchability, that he doesn't believe in all such blind beliefs, in all such, say, stupid things called untouchability. And the next character is Ali, Ali. Who is Ali? Ali is a young man of Bakha's age group. How old is Bakha? 18 years old. Bakha is 18 years old. So, Ali is also a young man of Bakha's age group. Both are friends. And Ali is the son of a regimental bandsman. In the army, naturally, what happens? Army consists of different regiments. And in certain regiments, there are certain bands. And Ali's father, I mean, Ali is the son of, right? Ali's father was in one such a regiment where he was a bandsman. And he was a Muslim, as the title surname suggests. Ali, he is a Muslim. And Bakka asks him questions about his Islamic practices because both of them are friends, both of them are of the same age group. Sometimes Bakka asks Ali certain questions about Islamic practices, and he is sometimes also accused of insulting the religion. This is the allegation leveled against him. And the next character is Ramanand, Ramanand. The next character is Ramanand. Ramanand is an old moneylender, and Ramanand is of a higher class than Bakha. So far as so many characters have been introduced to you, and all the characters are higher in hierarchy, higher in class than Bakha. Bakha is a sweeper class boy. So far as we have been introduced with at least 5 to 7 characters, and all such characters are of higher class than Bakha. And similar is the case with Ramanan. Sometimes he interrupts Bakha's morning musings by shouting at him to clean the latrines. This is what he used to do. And the next character is Gulabo. Gulabo. Gulabo, as the name suggests, is a washerwoman. Washerman, washerwoman. And Gulabo is Ramcharan's mother. So we have been introduced with 2 families right now and a few friends. So Gulabo is the mother of Ramcharan, and since she belongs to the washerwoman category class, she has a superiority complex. She has a superiority complex because she has a high place in the hierarchy of the low castes. She has a high place in the hierarchy of the outcasts. So she resents. Who resents? Gulabo. Gulabo resents Bakha's friendship with her son and hates Sohini. So normally when Ramcharan and Bakha are friends, and here Gulabo is the mother of Ramcharan. Ramcharan and Gulabo both are from the washerman or woman category type of class of people and a bit higher than the sweeper class. Naturally, she resents. Who resents?
Gulabo.
Gulabo. Gulabo resents. She expresses anger. She expresses dissatisfaction, right? Because her son makes friendship with Bakha, and Gulabo also hates Sohini. Who is Sohini? Sohini is the sister of Bakha and Rakha. Sohini is the daughter of Lakha. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear? Okay. So far we have been introduced with so many characters.
Sir, Sohini
And
ଆଉ ଗୋଲାପ ଭିତରେ କିଛି relationship ଅଛି କି?
Gulabo belongs to the washerwoman category. Sohini belongs to sweeper class. Sohini is the daughter of Lakha. Sohini is the sister of Bakha and Rakha, right? So relationship between Gulabo and Ramcharan is there, mother-son relation. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. Another character is Wajiro. Wajiro, Wajiro. Wajiro is the weaver's wife and prevents Gulabo from hitting Sohini. Wajiro is another character. And we have also, these are all minor characters. Another character is Pandit Kalinath. As the surname suggests, Pandit. Pandit Kalinath, K like Kalinath, Nath. And he is a Pandit. He is one of the priests who is in charge of the temple in Bulasa. He is a priest in a temple. Okay. And his family, Pandit's family, lives outside of the town. And sometimes, at least once, Pandit Kalinath abuses sexually to Sohini. Pandit Kalinath sexually assaults Sohini and then accuses her of defiling him. Another character is Lachman, 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 Lachman. Lachman is a Hindu water carrier. Hindu, during those days, piped water facility was not there. Some people used to carry water from a distant place, used to give it in different houses for the sake of money. Right? And Lakshman is such a character. He is a Hindu water carrier and he is just 26 years old. And Lakshman is attracted to Sohini. So Sohini is the daughter of a sweeper. Got it? Sohini is the daughter of a sweeper
Yes, sir.
called Lakha, right? And your Lakshman is a Hindu water carrier. He's a Hindu lad of 26 years old who is attracted towards Sohini. He is Lakshman. The other character is Hakim Bhagwan Singh. Bhagwan Singh. Hakim Bhagwan Singh. Bhagwan Das. Sorry. Bhagwan Das. He is a doctor. Hakim
So there
Bhagwan
are
Das
so
is a.
many characters in this novel.
These are all minor characters. These are all minor characters. That is why I'm discussing. So let me stop here with all these characters. We shall come to know about the other characters while we go through the plot. So Hakim Bhagwant Das is a character. And there is another character, Ramcharan's sister. Colonel Hutchinson, right? He belongs to army. He's from Christian missionary, right? And another character called Mary Hutchinson. Colonel Hutchinson and Mary Hutchinson. Mary is Colonel's irregular wife, irreligious wife, who had illicit relationship with Mary Hutchinson. And we have a character called Mahatma Gandhi, one of the several real life people featured in Untouchable. It is Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, one of the leaders of India's independent movement. In this novel, his purpose is to offer a kind of moral, political denunciation of untouchability. That is why such a character is created. We have also the name of Kasturba Gandhi, Miraben Slade, so many other characters whom you will come across in this plot. So these are the characters. Why I discussed all these characters here before going into the plot is so that you can understand the plot better. So as of now, we discussed the early life of Mulk Rajanan, his literary career, the awards he had received in his life, and the major and minor characters that we came across in the novel. So let us discuss in a detail the plot of the novel called Mulk Rajanan. I mean, Untouchable of Mulk Rajanan. Untouchable, as I said, is a classic novel. Uh, it uh, it is uh, it is an accurate portrait of poverty. It is an accurate portrait of poverty and the trials of the colonial rule in India. That what was poverty during those days, during the colonial rule, that has been portrayed in this novel of Mulk Rajanan. And sometimes it follows the story of Bakha. Okay, let us now come across different characters. So it follows the story of Bakha, an untouchable who is neglected by society. Okay, Bakha is forced to live a life of servitude. He is forced to live a life of servitude. It is a compulsion on his part to accept such a life of servitude, of a servant. It is not by choice, it is by compulsion. So he is forced to live a life of servitude. Servitude means the life of a servant, the life of a sweeper, because he belonged to the downtrodden caste, because he belonged to the sweeper class by his own circumstances. Got it? Got it?
Yes, sir.
So question may come to your mind. Who is he? Who is Bakha? The Bakha is a sweeper boy, right? Who has no other option but to accept his own class. And he is forced to live a life of servitude to his caste and downtrodden by his circumstances. And the novelist, Mulk Rajanan, represents Bakha's life, Bakha's struggles, and the oppression within the caste system, right? All too familiar story of poverty and social injustice in India. The way the narrator, I mean, the way the novelist has delineated the story of Bakha in the novel. The way the novelist presented the story of poverty, the story of social injustice in India is clearly evident when we discuss the different characters. The novel opens with the depiction of Bakha, who is a young boy, right? Who is an untouchable, who is rejected by his peers, who is rejected by the society for his social position. For his social position. He is rejected by almost all. He is rejected by his peers because he is an untouchable. He is rejected by the society because with whomsoever he comes in contact in the novel, he is superior to him so far as class is concerned. So, for the social position, right? So far as the social position is concerned, he is rejected by almost all, by his peers, by his friends, by his colleagues, by the society, right? All castes. This is what we come to know about Vakha. And he is forced to live in the city of Gulabdas. So far as his social position is concerned, he belonged to the lowest hierarchy of the society, and he is forced to live in the city of Gulabdas, which is the heart of his caste, where almost all the people of his own caste used to live. What is the place? Gulabdas. Gulabdas. And what is his work? What is the work of Bakha? As I said, he works as a sweeper for the city. He is sweeping the streets, removing garbages, right? He is removing filth, he is removing refuse from upper class latrines, from upper class people's dwellings. This is his job. So he is deeply aware of the injustice of his position and he laments his situation. Naturally, as I said, he's sweeping the streets, he's removing garbage, he's removing the refuse from the houses of the upper class people, right? So he clearly knows his own position. He's deeply aware of the injustice of his position, and most of the time he laments his own situation. So I quote 2 to 3 lines from the text. 2 to 3 lines from the text. Oh God, how long can I go on being a sweeper? Bakha says, Hey Bhagavan, କେତେ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ମୁଁ sweeper ହେଇକି ରହିବି? Oh God, how long can I go on being a sweeper? How long shall I remain an outcast? କେତେ ଦିନ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ମୁଁ ଏମିତି ଅସ୍ପୃଶ୍ୟ ହିଁ ରହିବି? An untouchable, ଜଣେ ଅସ୍ପୃଶ୍ୟ, despised by all, ଜଣେ ଅସ୍ପୃଶ୍ୟ ଯାହାକୁ କି ସମସ୍ତେ ଘୃଣା କରନ୍ତି। ଭଗବାନ କେତେ ଦିନ ଯେମିତି ସମାଜରେ ବଞ୍ଚିବି? So these are the three lines which I quote from the text. So this was his social position. So
Sir, please
naturally,
repeat these three lines.
you'll find in the text. Okay, let me tell you. Oh God, how long can I go on being a sweeper? Oh God, how long can I go on being a sweeper? Question mark. How long shall I remain an outcast? How long shall I remain an outcast? An untouchable, an untouchable, despised by all, despised by all. Okay, let us move ahead. Let us move ahead. So Bakha experienced hatred. Bakha experienced humiliation from the upper classes, who saw him as an impurity. This is also prevalent in the today's society. Look, the novel Untouchable is very much relevant even today. In 2023, we feel proud that we belong to the 21st century. We have a belief that we don't believe in caste system. Still, this is prevalent in our country. And by writing such a novel, long, long back, Molt Rajanam, right, has justified that the belief of untouchability, right, still exists in society, still exists in the mind of the people. So Bakha felt, Bakha experienced hatred. Bakha knew it quite well that people hate him. People used to humiliate him. Who humiliate him? Upper class people. Upper class people do not touch him. Upper class people do not love him. Naturally, upper class people hate him, humiliate him. And these upper class people consider Bakha as an impurity. Consider Bakha as an impurity. And they dislike, they despise him for his existence. Look how pathetic his situation. They despise him for his existence. Even throughout the daily course, he was subject to verbal abuse. He was subject to insults and even physical threats from the people of Gulab Das. Gulab Das from the people of Gulab Das. So he was subject to verbal abuse. ଲୋକମାନେ ଗାଳି କରୁଥିଲେ. People subject to say insult him. People subject to give him physical threats. Right? And he was not allowed to take baths in public places, in public baths. ସାଧାରଣ ପୋଖରୀରେ ଗାଧେଇବାକୁ allow କରାଯାଉନଥିଲା. And sometimes he was often dirty and forced to endure a life of suffering, right? In inadequate clothes. So such a kind of life he used to live, a kind of horrendous, horrible life. So despite his miserable life, he was fortunate enough. Bakha was fortunate enough to have the protection of two young upper class Hindu boys. ଦି ଜଣ ହିନ୍ଦୁ ବୟ ସବୁବେଳେ ତାକୁ ସପୋର୍ଟ କରୁଥିଲେ. Despite his miserable life, he was very fortunate that two of his friends, upper class Hindu boys, who took him under their wing. They used to support Bakha, right? They often protected him from further harm. ଯେମିତି ତାକୁ ଅଧିକ କିଛି ଆଉ କେହି କ୍ଷତି ପହଞ୍ଚେଇ ନ ପାରିବେ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ସେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁ. They used to treat him very kindly. Those two upper class Hindu boys treat him very kindly, very patiently. Right? The two were also studying and opened up to Bakha about his unpleasant grade in school. And that indicated to him a lack of knowledge. Bakha's teacher, Kadha, Kadha, had also instilled a strong sense of awareness in Bakha, whom he saw as more capable and thoughtful than most of his peers. He accepted, Bakha accepted his teacher Kadha as more capable and thoughtful than most of his other peers, other teachers. And Bakha was also given a glimpse of freedom when he was sent to fetch water for his family. When he was sent to bring water for his family, you know, he could look upon his surroundings. He could look upon his ambience with a newfound appreciation, with a with an admiration for its beauty. So chance meeting with a young, untouchable girl, Sohini. Sohini is the younger sister of Bakha. Sohini is the daughter of Lakha, the Jamadar of the sweepers, right? And when meeting the young, untouchable girl, Sohini, that further opened eyes to the fact that they were all living under a system of great inequality. They were all living under a system of injustice. And Sohini was able to express, Sohini was able to understand her oppression in a way that brought Bakha to a greater understanding. So, Sohini highlighted, as you know, how caste prevented any possibility of progress for untouchables. So there is a shift in the novel. In other words, we can say the novel then shifts to a public meeting in which Bakha's plight, in which Bakha's immeasurable suffering is discussed in a public meeting. Bakha's plight, Bakha's immeasurable suffering is discussed. The upper classes, even the officials, discuss the harms that have resulted from the neglect of the untouchables. As you know, Bakka's father spoke about how a lack of education had resulted in a lack of understanding of Indian culture. So, Bakka was also able to challenge the colonial caste system. With the passage of time, with the growing of age, Bakka challenged the colonial caste system in a very revolutionary manner when he refused to accept a mango a younger upper class boy offered him. Instead of taking it, he boldly, he very candidly, very frankly threw it back and asked the boy, why is he offering? Why is he offering to him in the first place? So this symbolizes Bakka's awareness. This symbolizes Bakka's defiance of the oppressive colonial rule and the caste system. With the passage of time, he opposed the oppressive colonial rule and the caste system. The novel also highlights how much Bakka grew and evolved. How much Bakka grew and evolved through the course of his struggles. In the beginning of the class, I had put forth a question before you all. Are the characters round characters or flat characters? So, in this sense, we can say Bakka is a round character. Whom do you call a round character? Whom do you call a flat character? The character that grows and evolves with the passage of time. There is a mental growth, there is a physical growth, there is a growth in decision making, almost in every sense. The character evolves, matures with the passage of time, struggles, right? Finally, he achieves what he desires. He's a round character. So, in that sense, we can say that Bakka as a character has grown, has evolved through the course of the struggles. He's struggling hard to come out of the caste system because he doesn't believe in all this caste system, though he belonged to the lower strata of the society, though he belonged to the outcast class. He doesn't believe in the oppressive colonial life. So he has grown, he has evolved through the entire course of the struggles and his relationships through the conversations, through the interactions, right? Bakka also learned an alternative view towards life, towards caste. With Sohini, his sister, Sohini is his sister, Bakka's sister. With Sohini, he explored the idea of humanity. What is idea of humanity? That something outside the boundaries of the caste. This is what he explored. This is what he found out. And this allowed him to realize that he was not as different from the upper classes as he was made to believe, that he was not different from the people of the upper classes. This is what he was made to believe. He realized, he explored. So he explored the idea of humanity. This is what he came to realize with his younger sister Sohini. The novel concludes when Bakha is offered a job as a teacher. When Bakha is offered a job as a teacher, what does it symbolize? Bakha will be a teacher. He is offered the job of a teacher. What does it symbolize? This symbolizes how Bakha has broken societal chains. Right? He has broken the chains. Naturally, who will be a teacher? A teacher will be a person who belongs to the higher class, a teacher who is exposed to higher education. Normally, in those days, um, people of the lower class were not exposed to the higher education. So, when he was offered a job as a teacher, this symbolizes how Bakha has broken these societal chains and how Bakha has been elevated to the position of power and responsibility. Though he belongs to the outcast class, that he can also shoulder certain responsibility. He can also wield powers. He can now see the world with new eyes. He can see the world with new eyes. This is the feeling that he has. Mulk Rajanan in this novel says something in a very new manner. I mean, Untouchable, the novel, draws us, draws the people into the life of an Indian man, Bakha, a sweeper belonging to the Horijan caste. And through Bakha's eyes, we gain an insight into India's caste system. We can see the cruel and unjust reality. Uh, this is what we come to know in the story of Untouchable. So far as the narrative technique is concerned, which we call as the narrative strategy, the narrative strategy is concerned, sometimes we feel that the novel is akin to James Joyce's novels. Just as James Joyce, as a novelist, has a great name in his way of the delineation of characters, in the presentation of the themes, he created a niche for himself as a novelist. Similarly, Mool Rajanan is also mm, very famous, choosing themes, choosing characters. in the Indian context. A lot of themes have been discussed in the novel. There is a theme called the rejection of the Indian roots. The rejection of Indian roots. What does it mean? Rejection of Indian roots, ROOTS. Indian roots means Indian habits, Indian customs. Rejection of Indian roots means Indian habits, Indian customs. So when you talk about the rejection of Indian roots, we mean to say that it is the rejection of the Indian habits, the Indian customs. And this rejection of the Indian habits, Indian customs is the central idea of Untouchable, the novel written by Mulk Raj Anand. And it is through Bakha. Bakha is the best personification. Bakha is the best symbolic personification of the theme in the novel called Untouchable. We are at first introduced to his distaste, disliking for certain Indian habits. When when he watches the Hindu men performing their morning ablutions, and Mulk Rajanand writes that after the British barracks, Bakha had become ascend the Indian way of washing up. This is a textual line from Untouchable. Other Indian habits, some other Indian habits, that the Bakha shows contempt, Bakha shows disliking for how some Hindu men and women relieve themselves in the open on the streets. ରାସ୍ତାରେ ଝାଡା ବସିବାଟାକୁ ସେ କହୁଛି. Bakha shows contempt. He dislikes this. He expresses his contempt because how some Hindu men and women relieve themselves in the open and the streets. This is also a textual line. When people defecate in the public, right, how do they feel? How they feel, that is what has been described here. The Indian, another quality of such Indian roots, rejection of the Indian roots. The Indian tendency to wear ornaments, quote unquote, ornaments. The Indian tendency of wearing ornaments, even the Indian way of drinking tea. This has been delineated in the novel. The Indian way of drinking tea, we have a feeling with whom you are going to have tea, either morning tea or afternoon tea. Who are the people assembled over there? What kind of people assembled over there? This is a feeling. If some people, if you feel that some people belong, do not belong to, uh, say, of your caste, they are not up to your standard, naturally, you will opt out of that place. So this is what has been delineated here in the text. And the disapproval, the disliking Bakka feels for these habits stem from British feelings about them. For example, when the British see Hindus relieving themselves on ground in public, they say, Kala आदमी जमीन पर भागने वाला. That black men, you who relieve yourself on the ground. These are all black people who feel relieved when they defecate in the public. ରାସ୍ତାରେ ଝାଡା ବସିବାଟାକୁ ସେମାନେ କେମିତି ବ୍ରିଟିଶର ମାନେ ଡେଫିକେଟ୍ କରନ୍ତି. I mean, how they say, take it otherwise. How they disapprove of this. And in Bakka's opinion, his rejection of Indian ways of life is directly correlated to his embracement of the British ways of life. There is a contrast presented here. Contrast between the Indian ways of life and the British ways of life. If the British Sahibs dislike something, they must be right. And he must emulate them in all things. This is what we believe. So the rejection of Indian roots or the rejection of the Indian habits or the social customs is closely interrelated, is closely intertwined with the Britain's colonization of India and extends far past Bakka to Indian society as a whole. So here we can say Bakka is not the only Indian fascinated by English culture. The presence of Salvation Army in Bulasa is a testament to this. I quote it from the text. And this shows that there are some Indians interested in Christianity, the religion of the colonizer. Again, at the end of the novel, it is suggested that accepting the European nation, right, might be the path to salvation for the untouchables. This is also been accepted. And rejecting the Indian ways of clearing West and embracing the European way of flushing it away with human contact could mean an end to the demands of the sweepers. This is what has been talked about as a theme, and the theme is the rejection of Indian roots. There is another theme called known as clothing. CLOPHING. CLOPHING. What is this? In contemporary vernacular, this is known as clothing. And this clothing plays a very pivotal role in untouchable. ଛୁଆଁଛୁତି କପଡ଼ାକୁ ଛୁଇଁବ. So this clothing plays a very pivotal role in untouchable. For example, for starters, for the beginners, Mulk Rajanam uses characters' clothing to signify everything from religion to caste level. Even during the beginning of Bakka's day, clothing is used to differentiate. Clothing is used to distinguish The many men that come to use the latrines. For example, the Hindus are naked except for their linen cloths. Muslims are distinct from the Hindus because they wear long white cotton tunics and baggy trousers. Furthermore, when a large gathering, when a large crowd gathers to hear the Mahatma speak, because there is a um, character of Kasturba Gandhi and Mahatma Gandhi. When the large crowd gathers to hear Mahatma speak, they are separated into their various castes and religions. So, clothing as a signifier of religion and caste level is only one aspect of the right. You are what you wear. This is the theme. You are what you put on. And through the eyes of Bakha, cloth becomes a metaphor for superiority. Cloth becomes a metaphor for enlightenment. Uh, we have some other themes like intercaste inequality, which has been discussed at length in the novel. This intercaste inequality is not only about personal interactions, it is fueled by a set of rules and that limits the lives and the rights of the outcasts, that limits the rights of the untouchables. Let me give you an example. The outcasts are not allowed to draw their own water from the public well. Why? The outcasts are not allowed to draw their own water from the public well. Why? Because they would make the water polluted in the eyes of the upper caste Hindus. This is the belief. And they must prevail upon the charity of the higher caste people, particular to the untouchables, is the law of their untouchability. And they must take care not to touch those of other castes, not to shout warning about their presence wherever they go. And through the struggle between the caste levels takes precedence in the story. Intercaste conflict also exists. This persists. Intercaste conflict persists all through the novel. Say, for example, Gulabo, Ramcharan's mother. Gulabo is a washerwoman, right? Ramcharan is a friend of Bakha, is a washerman. For example, Gulabo, Ramcharan's mother is a great illustration of this, is a great example of this. Though she is an outcast, Gulabo is an outcast, like Bakha and his family, because she and her family are washer people who are washermen and washerwomen, and they occupy a higher place within their shared outcast than the sweepers. So Gulabo uses her higher station to terrorize Bakka and even Bakka's sister Sohini. Another theme of the novel Untouchable is charity, Charity. Charity occupies a very prominent place, a very interesting place in the world of Untouchable. Charity. This is very interesting topic, very interesting theme. As you know, the outcasts are dependent on the charity of higher castes. This always happens. They are dependent on the charity of the higher caste for fresh water, for food, for clothing, etc., etc., etc. Sometimes the begging of the outcast is met with derision. That some outcasts beg, and people dislike this. People of the higher caste dislike this. So the begging of the outcast is considered as a kind of sin, is met with derision. And people of the higher caste um, get angry with the people of the lower caste. So this uncharitable reaction is highlighted here. When considering the fact that outcasts must beg for water, why? Since the caste system deems them unworthy of drawing their own water, they cannot draw water from the well. They need to depend upon others. So the higher castes are unable to see the poverty of the outcasts, and that is their own doing, not of their outcasts. On the other hand, in order to maintain their current status, in order to maintain their status quo, or rise in the caste hierarchy, go up in the caste hierarchy, Hindus must perform acts of charity. This is what we believe. Hindus must perform the acts of charity. The Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, right? These two upper castes in Hindu society claim that they earned their position because of all the good deeds they did in the previous lives. That they are in the such social status that they have earned their positions because of their good deeds in the past life, in the previous life. So, in a way, the higher castes are dependent on charity as well. And this theme of charity has been delineated in the novel Untouchable very well. And the theme of oppression, this is prevalent all through. And this is called cyclical oppression. This is called cyclical oppression. This cyclical oppression, or the suffering of the outcast, you can say. The suffering of the outcast is cyclical. It is perpetual. It is never ending. So the oppression upon the poor people, the oppression against the poor people is perpetual, is never ending, is cyclical, you can say. And this theme of oppression has been described, has been presented in the novel in a very extensive manner. This is the idea that is at the center of the untouchable, the story. The idea that Anand tries to highlight and criticize. Mulk Rajanan tries to criticize, seeks to highlight. This is what he does. What does he what does he do? Then the Hindu caste system and the stigmas. The Hindu caste system and the stigmas it casts upon ensure that they stay poor and while the other castes maintain their higher standings and better lifestyles. So the inability of the outcasts, the inability of the lowest section of the society to draw their own water from the community well or even gather together the funds to build their own well ensures they will always be dependent on the charitable Hindus for water. This is what we believe. Sometimes the shopkeepers, the food vendors, as you know, charge outcast higher prices in markets. The shopkeepers, the vendors charge the outcast higher prices. So this is sheer nonsense. This is sheer stupidity. This carries no meaning at all. Making poor people that lack of money pay more than rich people with money. That poor people will pay more and they will suffer. They are ostracized, they are criticized, and they suffer by paying more. Somehow, yet this is justified in the eyes of the higher classes. This is justified in the eyes of the higher classes. Sometimes you might have heard stories like this, which have been presented here in the novel. Because teachers refuse to teach untouchables. You might have heard the story of Karna, right? Karna was the son of a Sudra. That is why he was not taken by Dronacharya as his Sisya. All the Sisyas of Dronacharya were all Kshatriyas, sons of great kings. When Dronacharya went to, when Karna went to Dronacharya, to learn the art of archery, he refused on the ground that he is the son of a Sudra. Similarly, so because teachers refuse to teach untouchables for fear of pollution, most of them cannot read. So they must pay to have text read to them letters written. This is the textual line. So the answer would be teachers that are untouchable. But who would be the first to teach them? How we see the cyclical nature of the outcast plight? How can we see the cyclical nature of the outcast, say, suffering, immeasurable suffering, oppression? This is what is the point of discussion here in the theme of oppression. As I said, the life of the outcast is cyclical, not only because it is perpetuated by corrupt dealings, but also because it is generational. It is coming over from different generations. So the oppression and the terrible life standards the outcasts face, the people of the lower caste face, persist across the generations. Bakha is an example. Bakha began working in the latrines as a sweeper at the age of 6. Same is the case with his father. Same is the case with his grandfather. Same was the case with his great grandfather, etc. etc. So his status and life as a sweeper was inherited. So ridiculous, so ironical this is. That as if he has inherited the life of a sweeper from his great grandfathers. Since he is an outcast, he is forced to do this. And this tradition of sweeping as if has passed down by his forefathers. The question is, unless untouchability is abandoned, the Hindu caste system eradicated, and the unequal treatment of the outcasts stopped, Bakha's children will pick up the cross their fathers bears. This has to be stopped. Or else the children of Bakha will suffer, the posterity will suffer, the generations to come will suffer. Another great important theme of the novel is the responsibility or the burden of the untouchables. The responsibility or the burden, B-U-R-D-E-N, burden of the untouchables. As you know, oppression and class struggle. These are the two important themes which are interconnected, which are intertwined, right, throughout the novel. And these are the ideas of oppression, class struggle, are the ideas of the untouchables responsibility, the untouchables burden, and these are the important themes, right, which are less to the novel. So aside from the job as sweeper, the untouchables are also tasked with ensuring that they do not touch higher caste people, that higher caste people do not touch them, either or vice versa. And Bakha first mentions this responsibility after he bumps into a caste man, higher caste man. So what happened? Surrounded by a mob of angry Hindus, when he bumped into a higher caste man, he was surrounded by a mob of angry Hindus. And Bakha realized that he was surrounded by a barrier. It's not a physical barrier, what you can say, this is a moral barrier. Look how important this theme is. So instead of the untouchables burden, instead of the untouchables responsibility being on the main to make sure that they don't touch Bakha, he is the one that must take care. So the untouchables burden as a theme is another means of keeping the untouchable suppressed. This is a means of keeping the untouchable suppressed. What is this? This is best exemplified. This is best illustrated by Sohini's Bras with Pandit Kalinath. Sohini's Bras with Pandit Kalinath in the temple. Kalinath is a priest in a temple. Here, we have a Hindu caste man that willingly tossed Sohini in an amorous manner, as I said. Pandit Kalinath willingly, knowingly, deliberately tossed Sohini in an amorous manner, which is not morally right. When Sohini rejected Pandit Kalinath, what did Kalinath do? Kalinath cried, polluted me, and accused Sohini of defiling him. ତାଙ୍କୁ ଅପବିତ୍ର କରିଦେଲା ବୋଲି କହିଲେ। ପଣ୍ଡିତ କାଲିନାଥ Sohini ପ୍ରତି ଯେତେବେଳେ he moved towards Sohini, right, showed him amorous manner, tried to abuse him, misbehave him, and she refused. She obstructed. Sohini obstructed. She rejected him, Kalinath. What did Kalinath do? The Pandit do? Immediately, he took a plea. Kalinath, Pandit Kalinath cried, saying, polluted me, that Sohini defiled me. ମତେ ଅପବିତ୍ର କରିଦେଲା ଛୁଇଁକି. Because he is an untouchable. Sohini is an untouchable. And Sohini by that time had no means of defending herself. କିଛି ବାଟ ନଥିଲା ତା ପାଖରେ in order to defend herself. And she even cannot argue that Pandit Kalinath, had touched her of his own volition. Because such a defense would make no sense at all to Hindus that observe the caste system. So making bodily contact negligence on the part of the untouchable and of the caste person allows sexual assaults like Sohini to be permissible. This is the theme known as the, the untouchable's responsibility or the burden. Religion is the most important aspect, the theme, which has been dealt with in a very detailed manner. Religion is like a thread. No, religion is like a thread that connects almost all the themes in the novel Untouchable, written by Molk Rajanand. One, Molk Rajanand uses clothing, Clothing, to separate the Hindus from the Muslims, from the Christians, right? The rejection of the Indian roots is in part made manifest by the conversion of the Indians, from the Hindus to the Christians. The class struggles between the different caste levels and the oppression of the outcasts, actually rooted in the hierarchy of the Hindus. Furthermore, Bakha here sees his responsibility of, so to say, allotting the entire world, of warning the entire world to his presence as a kind of moral obligation. There are a few other ways that religion acts as a kind of mediator, as a kind of intervener between the characters of untouchable as well. Of course, Hinduism influences interactions, such as, for example, Gulabos with Sohini, Bakkhas with castemen he touches, higher castemen he touches. So there are other examples, right, in the story. But Bakha feels a connection to him when he thinks about how his father, how his mother, and how their forefathers all worshipped Ram, God of the Hindus. This is the textual line I quote. When religion is the source of the many issues the novel grapples with, it is also the force that brings our characters into contact with one another. So, with this, the novel comes to an end. So, we discussed the themes, plot, characters in a detailed manner. Of I mean, with this, the reading of Mulk Rajanan's Untouchable comes to an end. If you have any question, you can ask me. 5 minutes more. If you have any question, you can ask me. Do you have any question?
Introduction of Mulk Raj Anand ଟିକେ ଆଉ ଥରେ କହିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ସାର୍।
Introduction of Mulk Rajanan. ମାନେ ତମେ କହିବା କଥା ତାଙ୍କର ଲାଇଫ, ଲିଟେରାରୀ କ୍ୟାରିୟର, yeah.
Yes sir, yes sir.
ଲାଇଫ ସେଇଟା କେବେ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ନୁହେଁ। ଲାଇଫ, ଆର୍ଲି ଲାଇଫ, ଏଜୁକେସନ ଆଉ literary career, this is not at all important. If you want, I can tell you again for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but this is not important. But history of the Indian English novel is important. Who who are the contemporaries of Mulk Rajanam, right? That is important. Okay, if you want something more on this, the life and work of Mulk Rajanam, let me tell you again. Perhaps you came late. Yes?
Yes sir. Yes sir.
Okay. Okay. Um, Mulk Rajanam, where does he belong? Okay. Mulk Rajanam was born in a Hindu family, right? In a Kshatriya Hindu family. Kshatriya Hindu family. Mulk Raj Anand. In 1905, as I said earlier, in Peshawar. Peshawar is now in Pakistan. Presently, after the division of India, Peshawar is now in Pakistan. And this is the central city of North Northwest Frontier Province. Peshawar is now just as Lahore, Rawalpindi, right? Peshawar is in Pakistan. Peshawar is in Pakistan. And when was he born? He was born in 1905, pre-independent India. Okay, and uh, his father's name was Lal Chand. Lal Chand, and Mulk Rajanan um, had four other brothers, and he was the third of the five sons. Okay. His father used to work on silver and copper, particularly. His father belonged to the 30-year caste, 30-year caste kind of people who are the workers of copper and silver. Workers of copper and silver. Mm, Particularly, his father left his hereditary occupation to attend school. He learned English, took a British military examination, served in cantonments, including Sialkot, right? In some other places called, one is Sialkot, the other is Firozpur, Peshawar, Myanmar, Nowsera, right? He served in different cantonments, army cantonments. He was appointed as a head clerk in a 38th Dogra regiment, 38th Dogra Army Regiment. And he was said to be the only literate man in the whole regiment because he had his school education. And he had he was very ambitious in the sense that he wanted that his sons should get proper education, that his sons must have proper economic status, right? And Anand, this is about Anand's father. Regarding Anand's Mulk Rajan's mother, listen, this is not at all father, mother, their birth, parentage, place of origin. These are not so important. What I discussed later on are all important. Okay, Anand's mother uh, was a Sikh. I mean, she hailed from a Sikh peasant family of Sialkot. Sialkot at that time was a part of central Punjab. She was a religious woman. She had enormous faith. She had great faith in orthodox beliefs. And at the same time, she had vast knowledge of folk tales, having heard them in her childhood from her mother, right? Sometimes she tried to say imbibe this quality in her children, try to inculcate these qualities in her children. Sometimes what happens, um, there is a kind of influence that works miracle. The same was the case with Molk Rajanan. As her mother had heard a lot about different legends, fables, myths, narratives of gods, birds, men, right, of days. So these had a great impact imprint upon the mind of young Anand. As you know, first 20 years of Anand's life seem to have been spent in the Punjab area. After passing his matriculation in 1920, Mulk Rajanand joined Khalsa College, Amritsar. Khalsa College is in Amritsar. He joined the non-violent struggle against the British government and courted arrest. He graduated from the Punjab University with honors in English. He became a graduate with English honors from Punjab University. There is a turning point in his life when he received a scholarship for research in philosophy. Listen, he became a graduate in English honors. He got a research grant in philosophy. That was the turning point of his life. And he got that research grant from England. That was the turning point of his life. And it is here in England when he pursued this philosophy, right? He started creative writing. Right? Thereafter, he completed his dissertation. He was awarded PhD degree in London University. Right? He was then associated with T.S. Eliot. Right? T.S. Eliot's literary periodical, The Criterion, started writing articles. Right? And he became very famous. So far as the literary career of Mulk Rajanan is concerned, he enjoys the reputation of being a pioneer novelist because he had a corpus, he had a corpus of creative fiction of high quality. He's a prolific writer, right? And Anand wrote a number of the novels. One, you have the present one, The Untouchable. Another book called Coolie, which was published in 1936. Two leaves and a bud, quote unquote. Two leaves and a bud, which was published in 1937, in which he started a new trend of realism and social protest. This is for the first time happened in Indian English fiction. Indian English fiction. Particularly in his novels, Mulk Rajanand portrays the doomed lives of the downtrodden and the oppressed class people. Right? As I said, he received a number of awards, number of accolades, both nationally and internationally. Okay, thereafter he became very famous. Thank you. Okay, let us conclude. Stop. Okay. Sorry about that.